Day 1, zero in the bank, zero job interviews, 90 days to build an AI business, move out of my parents' house or find a job, and turn everything around. So, today I woke up, I had to say hi to my dog, Buddha. Not like the actual Buddha, but that's his name because it comes from the Booty 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 Rock Like a Well song, but I got the lyrics wrong. And then I gotta make a coffee. So, just had to put the Keurig in, push the button, throw together some oatmeal with some blueberries, just a plain oatmeal, not the sugary kind, with one little tablespoon of sugar. Went straight into journaling with some Alex Hormozy playing in the background. Have to plan my day in Notion. So I set up a Notion with my goal for the day so I could start getting this into a streamlined process so I can do this every day of this challenge to keep track of everything I need to do every single day. So today's to-do list is simple. Apply to 3 jobs, finish the MVP that I haven't started for the AI QR code real estate idea, which I'll get to telling you guys about later, edit and post this video, and all while doing the same daily healthy habits, such as no alcohol, no weed, daily journaling, no unhealthy foods, and exercising. So here's the start of my day. Okay, but before I could even start building the AI business, I have to apply to at least 3 jobs. Because let's be honest, I need money coming in from somewhere, and if I don't apply, I probably won't have a place to live. So, first stop is LinkedIn. So I'd first start off by typing in #hiring to see who in my network might be looking for someone of my skill sets. So I found a role that matches, or kind of. It's a data engineering, but it requires 8 years of business intelligence or data warehousing experience, minimum. Yeah, so that takes me out of the running faster than I can click next. So it was a job at Meta and they're doing some cool things, so I head over to Meta's website to see if there's anything I actually have the skills for. After some searching, I find a role for a software engineering manager -AI. Well, the requirements were 3 years of managing technical teams, check. 3 years of working with LLMs, check. 5 years of deep learning, might not have that, but we're gonna count it as a sort of a check because we only need a certain amount to pass, so I might have that. So we'll call it a soft check. And first author publications in AI conferences was a preference, check. That might actually be doable because I actually wrote a paper. So before applying, I run my resume through ChatGPT to tailor it for this specific role. It looks cleaner, but there's no point sending it if it's going to get eaten alive by the applicant tracking system. So what I do is I tell ChatGPT to be an applicant tracking system, and it says I'm a bit over an 80, and an 80 is all I need to talk to a human. ChatGPT wants me to get to a 90, but if I do that, I'll be lying too much on my resume, which I don't like. So this is good enough to make it to a human, hopefully. So I'm going to send this in. So a few minutes later, I had to go fill in all my information at the Meta, Facebook, whatever you call this website, and boom, there's 1 out of 3 applications done for the day. So we're going to check that off the list and move to the next one. Then, as everybody knows, once you finish anything, you got to go bug your dog for a little bit. So I went to see what Buddha's up to, went down, and had to give him a little poke real quick to make sure he's good. Cool. After that, well, I thought it was a little dirty, so a clear place is a clear environment is a clear mind, so I thought I needed to clean. So here's a quick time lapse. I had to go through and clean up everything, clean up all the bottles in the garbage, all the depression room, so I could actually get some work done because there's no way you could focus with all that around. So, yep, here's a time lapse for the next 2 minutes of me just getting everything clean. Ignore the messy room because, hey, now it's clean, So, no judgment, everyone goes through it. But yeah, I'll be back after this to walk you through the run. so now we got the whole place cleared up and cleaned. I can focus when I get back. Now it's time to eat a little snack. Since we're on a diet, we're just eating turkey. Of course, Buddha gets a piece. And now we got to get some exercise. So, a tired body is a tired mind, or no, whatever. Tire your body so you can clear your mind. I don't know. But let's go. Do you feel like running today? All right. Let's go. Let's go. Ready, buddy? A little closer. Then, of course, had to look at the yacht on the way for some of that law of attraction to attract that boat. Ready to work out, Buddha? Okay, so we first had to start out with some stretches to make sure we don't pull a muscle and to make sure we're ready for this workout or this run. So I gotta get everything. Then had to hit it with the jump rope for a little bit because Buddha's too strong, and if I'm not ready for it, he'll just pull out all my muscles and it'll be a week off of the working out. And here's Buddha living his best life, ready to run. This is his favorite thing to do in the whole world. Staring. There's another one too. Okay, after Buddha's tired and he's done with his run, I gotta do some pull-ups for the upper body, to get the whole body workout and the whole body tired, so I'm ready to sit on the computer for the next few hours and do some pull-ups, do some other ones, can't remember what they're called, and then check out this view. Tacoma's a pretty beautiful place. Buddha's pretty much done at this point, so this is where I'll get my sprints in. So this is me sprinting up the hill real quick as you look. There's allergies everywhere, but yeah, gotta keep these sprints in, gotta stay in shape, and then hit it off with some jump rope to finish it out at the end after running this about 10 times, looking over the city and all the boats, a little more law of attraction, and boom, I think I'm ready to work out. Or I'm ready to work out this brain on the computer and get these last 2 applications done so I can get to building this AI app. And this is me sprinting up the hill right now. Okay, great. Now we got all the exercise out of the way. Time to get back on the computer with a cup of coffee and get to work. So, first thing we're gonna do is pull up our Notion board just to see where we're at on our schedule. So I think all we got left today is finish these 2 applications, which I don't know to apply. So we're gonna go to OpenAI and see what jobs they have. So I went to OpenAI/careers, and I'm just looking through to see if there's anything that fits my experience. And yeah, they all pay well. I'm not too worried about that. I found a full stack developer/engineer role that'd be perfect for my experience. So I'm basically just gonna ask ChatGPT about their ChatGPT. It's funny, OpenAI owns ChatGPT, and I'm using that for their own application. But again, I went back and asked it to be an ATS, applicant tracking system, and it said I was about at 8.2, and it had some ways it could refactor it to give me almost a 9. So what I did is I talked to it and said, yeah, give me, optimize it for a 9 based on this role, and let's see what you can give me. See if it's actually better, and please don't hallucinate and add a whole bunch of extra information which doesn't really matter for my resume. So I get this weird bug all the time on my resume. I don't know why I get it. It's like a line, and it's okay to have a line, but it says it's not okay to have a line. But yeah, back to what we're doing. Right now I'm basically using the recommendations of ChatGPT for this OpenAI ChatGPT role, and just filling it in so I could at least get past the first step and talk to a human. And it's going pretty smoothly now. I went to the site, just filling in all the information of what was missed when it parsed through my resume. And yeah, just filling in the extra information, like if I was to work here, when can I start? Are you a US? Any additional information, which I said, yeah, I actually believe I use ChatGPT every single day. I'm not sure if that helps. All these other questions, and boom, we're done with this resume. On to the next, or this job application. On to the next one. Another thing checked off. So I wasn't sure what to do for the last application or of the day. So I went over and searched top startups that are getting or recently got funded around the Seattle area. First came up with Ganaz.com. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce it, but it was basically helping people get paid through payroll. A little interesting, but didn't keep me super interesting. But then I found this company, Stoke. Basically what they do is they help different shuttles get to and back from space or orbit. So went through, found a position I liked. They had a software development engineer, basically full stack like all the other positions I'm hiring for. So again, what I did is went to ChatGPT, copied my resume in, copied the job application in, and basically just asked it to be ATS. This time I was at an 8.4, wanted to see if I could get it a little bit higher just by refactoring or editing it a little bit. And yeah, so after doing this and looking through and reading to make sure it didn't add too much hallucinations that when I talk to a human I can't back up, it seemed to give me almost a 9, which was good. So if you look here, it rated my new resume again and got me a 9 out of 10, which is perfect. So I'm gonna submit that, send that in, and attach all that extra information. And am I immigrant? No. And yeah, so it asked me what motivates me. So I said I want to help build the future, and basically I know the future is going into space, and even being a part of that would be awesome. So I went to ChatGPT and basically entered what motivates me and had it basically fix all the grammatical errors and make it sound a little bit better. Did a little deeper research on Stoke to see what they're really building to make sure I don't mess up anything, because at first I thought they're doing communication, but it's more like they're trying to pass different parts. So you get something in space, or you want to send something to space or get something back from space, they're basically the people to go to. So yeah, I basically filled that in. And the next thing was, what was the biggest accomplishment I was proudest about? And then that's basically, I wrote a research paper where I made a 2-stage system that attached embedded device to garbage trucks, which would analyze the roads for potholes and tell city officials. So it'd basically count the number of potholes, classify them into different types of potholes. And the paper actually got into the SAC 2024 symposium, SIGAPS or whatever you call it. So I actually got to go to Spain and present for that paper. So basically just had to fix some of these errors and back on to the boring questions. Filled all those out, how I found this job position, and my compensation rate, which I probably should have went a little higher, but I wasn't quite sure what to do, what I am, and bang, bada boom, application submitted. And we're done with this third application of the day. And now we could get on to the fun stuff, which is building the MVP for the AI QR code real estate app. So let's get going. So now I got to tell you guys about it. But as you know, after completing every task or between every break, we always got to go mess with Buddha. So back down to see what he's up to. Moment of truth. You guys been watching this video of the AI business we're going to start first. So we're going to run an experiment. So my assumption is real estate agents invest a lot into marketing, so they'd be willing to pay for lead generation assistance. And this is how it works. So it's real estate AI, so get qualified leads 24/7 with agents. I don't quite know, will they want this or will they want videos, but let me talk about this idea, and then if this doesn't work in a week, we'll iterate. So basically, real estate agents want a way to capture leads. Leads are people who potentially might buy and or sell a house, right? So they pay for leads, or they pay a lot for marketing, or they get these large, like $20,000 to $40,000 paychecks when they do sell a house, and they got to find a way to continue their business, because marketing and selling is the main part of selling real estate as an agent, other than like dealing with people. So if you don't know a lot of people, you got to capture all your own leads. So here's the plan. Basically, we make a very simple app that creates chatbots based on an MLS listing. So we'll add the MLS information later, but for now, all you got to do is enter some information about your property, and bang, bada boom, in less than 5 minutes, you can deploy a QR code that you could put on listings or you could share on cards. So when people drive around the neighborhoods and they see a QR code, they scan your QR code, it goes to an AI assistant or chatbot or voice agent or even an AI version of you. We'll start with a chatbot for simplicity, and The people who are looking to buy or sell their house can ask questions and learn more. And then what this is doing is while they're asking these questions, if they're a qualified lead, it could ask for their email or phone number saying, "Hey, would you like to speak to an agent?" And at that point, the agent is getting qualified leads just for putting a QR code on their property that collects these leads 24/7. So anytime anyone's ever driving around the neighborhood, they could capture these leads. So it's a very simple idea. All we really need to do is set up an app that so they could create a simple RAG, retrieval augmented generation, that takes the property information, basically embeds it, and then someone could talk to it as a chatbot. We'll add the voice functionality later. Maybe they could even use their own voice and clone their own voice. But if we don't pass the first test, then there's no point of continuing. So the first test we're going to do is, since agents' numbers are everywhere, they're on houses, they're on internet, everyone always displays them everywhere, they're on listing signs. What we're going to do is try to talk to a few managing brokers. A managing broker is basically someone who runs a team of various agents, and just to see if we could get 10 real estate agents just to test out this technology in 1 week. So they don't got to pay. We're just going to see if they'll use it. And I already have a few people in mind to call. So we'll call them up and see if they'll use it. What we should do probably is, there's two ways to go about this. One is we build the app first and then give them a demo, or two, we ask them first and see if they'd use it, and then they might ask for a demo. What I want to do is, I have a strong assumption or hypothesis that they will use it, especially if it's free for a week or for a few months, if they're our first 10 customers. So why not just build it? It gives me something to put on my personal portfolio for when I'm applying for jobs, or it's just extra information showing that I'm using these new AI tools to develop new projects that are actually used in the real world. So it'd be a great portfolio project, even if it doesn't become anything. And if it doesn't work in a week or two, then we'll just iterate to the next idea. Because with all this vibe coding, we're probably going to be doing with the front end and back end. There's no reason to waste longer than 2 weeks at most, maybe even a month, on an idea that doesn't work. But I think this is going to work, so we'll see what happens, and then we'll move to the next idea. If you guys have a next idea, feel free to comment or something below on something you'd like to see built. But for now, I'm going to spend tonight and tomorrow building this out. And the way we're going to build this out is basically, uh, I have an application and a server already, a front end and back end already running from a previous project I'm going to use, but we're going to be using React. I'm typing with one hand, guys, so we're going to be using React.js for the front end. And then we're going to be using Python Fast API for our back end. And I'll just, so we can see it more clearly, I'll paste this over here. So we're going to have our front end. Our back end is basically going to do like the embedding and hold like the environment variables, so front end doesn't display them. If you guys are new to vibe coding, a big risk when you're doing front end storing of like your ChatGPT or OpenAI keys, this exposes them to everybody who can go on your website. So you generally want to do that with some sort of backend that you host on a server. You're probably wondering what other tools we're using. So we're going to use Vercel, which is an app for deploying your React project on the front end. And then the back end, we're going to be using Render. And you can look these all up. I'll show you guys them later. And then if we continue this, we're going to be using GitHub basically for our CDCI, CI/CD, I don't know, continuous integration / continuous deployment. So that's going to be GitHub. And then to code, I originally started out with a Bolt for the front end, but we're basically going to be using, what is it called? Cursor. I might try Claude out just to give you guys a demo later on tomorrow, but for now, I just know how to use Cursor. It's my favorite. I used to use GitHub Copilot, but I quit the plan to use Cursor altogether. So that's basically going to be our project, and I'll put some squares around this so you guys understand what's going on. And I think we're going to call it a day at that. I'm going to actually get down and coding on this without recording and then just show you guys the progress. And then if anyone does want to know how I coded it, I could like talk through it or give a quick demo. But I figure most people are just here to see getting the life together plan or are here to see starting a business side of it. But before I could really start a business, I would like to, what is it called? I would like to have an app that I could sell, because to have a business, you need something to sell. And I've tried consulting in my previous business, but it just takes a lot of time and effort to go out, get sales, and then spending all night to code the actual applications. So that basically sums it up. We got this, and then the only thing we're missing here is that this is going to be our CI/CD. Basically, all you have to do is push your changes, and it will make the changes for you. Embedding wise, we're just gonna keep it simple and use OpenAI's Ada 3, I think they're at. Nah, Ada 2 probably. I'm not sure if they're at 3 yet. This is your IDE, integrated developing environment, where you basically just code everything. And yeah, I think that's all we're gonna need for this project. And then after we have that, we're actually gonna need Superbase as well. If you guys know, you guys could look up all this stuff. But this is basically gonna help with auth and where we store all our information, so auth and data. You could also use different programs, like you could use AWS or you could use Azure, but just for now, to keep it simple, we're going to use Superbase for a prototype, because no point in building out a very expensive system, because it could, if you use like AWS or Azure, you could easily get caught with like thousands of dollars of hosting fees without expecting it. But Superbase helps you code quick versions that are actually scalable. And I should change this to green so it makes sense, but we're doing everything in purple. Well, we'll do it green, why not? Because that's Superbase's colors. They're green. And yeah, so that should be about summing it up, everything we'll need for this project. And I'll get coding on this, and then you guys feel free to check in tomorrow, where I'm going to do the same thing, have similar requirements, where I have to complete these certain tasks every single day. I probably tomorrow will also add something like do some leak code questions, just in case I do get an interview back. But for now, this should be enough. This should be our whole MVP. Oh, I forgot a few things on here while I was thinking through it. So we're actually going to need some way to collect payments, you know? So to collect the payments, I think I know we're going to be using Stripe. It's just the easiest for development. I don't know what we're going to charge yet, but I'm thinking something like, I don't know, like $49.99 per month. And then they get like 3 listings or something. I'm not quite sure yet about that, but we could figure that out later after the MVP's built, and you guys get to see it. Maybe you guys even have some recommendations in the comments below. So yeah, guys, that's going to be the video for the day. And again, this is what we'll be building tomorrow after I finish all the other stuff I have to do, which is going to be applying for 3 jobs, completing some leak code questions, going to work out, eating healthy, and all the other stuff. So all right, guys, peace out. All right, everybody, and now if you notice, it's dark out if you look out the window, but basically now I'm just going through and setting up my IDE while I try to figure out what I'm gonna do about this for tomorrow. So I currently have some other projects, or a certain project I was working on, that I'm gonna refactor the code on, so I don't have to recreate a whole new database and create a whole new front end and back end. This way I'm basically just pivoting with that idea and putting it towards this. But we'll figure this out later. I think this should already have some of the chatbot functionality set up, so all I should really have to do is basically fix some of the marketing material, change some of the routes, and basically make it look a bit more professional, integrate the RAG embeddings, and then that should be about good for this project. So it shouldn't be a huge project to do since I'm starting with the previous project I already created. But yeah, so alright guys, until next time or until tomorrow, peace out. I gotta record this, or now it's recorded and I got all this video feed here. I gotta edit it, add some music, make it look semi-cool so you guys can check it out. But alright, peace out y'all, bye.